Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Meldon Law, of course, brings you Coach Spurrier every Monday when he's in town, and he will be here today. We'll talk to him about a lot of things, including court stormings and stuff like that. Thursday's guest, Patrick Young, will join us. I went to lunch with him the other day. We had such a great visit, and the guy, you may have seen him on the SEC Network Saturday. Look forward to talking to him and letting him tell his story. And he also, on Wednesday, before the game, the Missouri game, is going to be signing copies of his book. I will tell you, I bought 10 of them, and we'll probably give a couple of them away here. But don't let that stop you from showing up and buying copies of his book, which he'll sign for you. And all these are autographs. So the next person who wins the Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks will get a copy of that signed book from Patrick Young. Look forward to having him. I'm a little discombobulated today because a stray dog showed up at our house, kind of a pit bullish dog, and too nice a guy. Took him in, got a bath for him. We'll see. Fed him. Now my wife and daughter are dealing with it, but you know, it's hard for me not to do that. You know, like the other day, there were two dogs that had clearly gotten loose, and they were beautiful dogs, but they didn't have any collars. And my wife's like getting ready to pull over, and I go, "Yeah, if you want to pull over, we'll get them." And she goes, "Oh, the guy in front of us is pulling over." We're just dog lovers, and I'm probably going to catch hell for bringing a pit bull into the house. But Archie had a great time, I will tell you that. All right, so let's get to our Process Service of Gainesville starting five. It is brought to you, as always, by Process Service of Gainesville. And we will start off with the basketball team getting the win that they needed. We knew they had to find a way to just win this game. You know, you're playing Vanderbilt. Their net ranking's not good, all that stuff. But you're at home. You should be all right. You should win that game. And they got it done. They got it done with Riley Kugel, Micah Hanlockton, and Zion Pullen scoring 4 points. That's the thing about this team. And if Will Richard's hot now, man, watch out. If he's got his stroke back, this team is going to be a tough out. Whether they're in the tournament or not, we'll wait and see. But there's no question about it that this team is playing at a different level than they were playing early in the year, which is what you want to do. In college basketball, you better get better. If you don't get better, you're going to get left behind. If you've got to continue to improve as the season goes along. But it's that way with every sport. I mean, the games get bigger, and sometimes it's tougher, and teams clutch up. We know that. We see it all the time. But for this basketball team, I admire the way they played. 8 out of the last 10. I know there's been some soft wins in there, but there have been some hard wins. I mean, you've got Kentucky and Auburn in that mix as well. Which brings me to the net rankings, which came out. And, of course, Florida dropped because they were playing Vanderbilt, and you got to beat them by 1 million or you're not going to go up. You would still go down. But Florida got 2 quad one wins when they weren't even playing because Pitt and Mississippi State won their games, and they got up to they're now quad one wins for Florida. I guess. I mean, it's hard to keep track of all of it. But anyway, Florida's got 4 now. This is the thing that, and I will say this out loud, and people can condemn me or whatever. Florida is not in the tournament, no matter what Joe Lunardi says. He came out with his bracketology today and said Florida is one of the six locks for the SEC. Locks. Locks means they can't not be put in. Okay, you lose your last 4, lose a game in the tournament. What are you? You're 19 and 13? You're not in. Now, I know that when you say lock, you're saying they're not losing to Missouri. They're not losing at Vanderbilt. You gotta still win. There's still games that you have to win. If you win those 2 games, you are definitely in. If you beat Missouri, you're probably in. It's gonna be hard to keep you out. Can't lose to Missouri, and that's Wednesday night. We know that. So they'll have to get ready for that. Although I think they've played well against teams even then when people have, they've been the favorite and stuff, they played okay. Some of them get closer than they should, as we all know. All right, let's talk about number 3 right now on the process service of Gainesville starting 5, which is court storming, which became a big issue all weekend. I do notice that the national writers or national media talking heads, they're already talking. They write to the NBA. If a day is passed, they're not going to bring it up. So there will be discussions, I'm sure, this afternoon. Look, my solution is the same solution I've always had. And I've said this months ago. I said it when Caitlin Clark. I've said it even before that. The solution's always been the same. Take a home game away from the other team. Ooh. Well, if you take a home game away from us, we lose that revenue. Now, in basketball, the revenue is certainly not what it is in football, but it should be the same penalty for football. So you take that revenue, but not only that, but you take that revenue away from those communities and the people that have restaurants and everything. I don't want to do that, but you know what'll happen? They won't let you storm the court. Okay, it's over. You're done. If you're already probably done because they're probably going to put some legislation in, but fines don't matter. When you're making $53 million from your conference, a $100,000 fine does not matter. And in the ACC, they don't fine anybody. They say, we don't have enough money to fine people. Are you kidding me? We'll let you go. Yeah, rush the court. That was a violent court storming, and it was alarming to see. And then when you found out that Filipowski was injured on it, I don't think he's injured badly, but he was certainly injured. And you see him carried off. I mean, the first thing I said was, that's going to probably do it for court storming. There are going to be a lot of other solutions out there about let the players get off the court. And I agree with that 100%. Let the players get off the court. However long it takes them. If it takes them 2 minutes, and when they're off the court, you can run the court. But you know what? People won't want to do that because they can't get on TV if they're storming the court and the TV's gone to the other game. So I'm telling you, this is the way to do it. You do it, they'll beef up security, and nobody will get hurt. Seems pretty simple. I think it makes sense. Let's get to number 4 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5. And I want to do a special salute to Florida swimming and diving, the men and women both winning. And second year in a row, I think it's the 12th year in a row, 12th or 13th, for the men to win it. Anthony Nesty, what a job he's done. Swimming and diving, they don't get a lot of respect. They don't get a lot of publicity. Again, I don't work for the paper anymore, but I'm going to give it to them on the radio today. That's all I can do for you, Gators. But I appreciate you. And I appreciate Anthony. Anthony actually recorded a farewell on my farewell video when I left the Gainesville Sun, recorded something that was really nice. They're really good. And I thought it was really cool that the kid who won the backstroke, whose name is leaving me, and maybe it'll come to me at some point, but he won the 100 and the 200 meter backstroke. And he was just blowing people away. And he broke the Florida record, and the record was Ryan Lochte's. So they were interviewing him. Actually, it was Elizabeth Beisel. Johnny Marshall is his name, yes. He was really good. And so he did a ja, in honor of Ryan Lochte, which was pretty funny. I was laughing anyway. So very cool gymnastics team. I give you a lot of credit for getting that done. I'm sorry. Swimming team, I was looking at the next thing, which I'm going to talk about, number 5 on our process service of Gainesville. Starting 5, which was gymnastics, getting the win over LSU. LSU was number 2 in the country. Florida number 6 coming in. Clutch performances all over the place. This team is really, they're doing the best they can with what they have. And to get that kind of a win at home. And again, I do want to say one thing about Florida fans, and I've been critical of them in the past. And you guys know this. I've been very critical of them for not showing up for a lot of sporting events. And not for football. It's never been an issue. But sometimes in basketball, sometimes in old at the old stadium for baseball, certainly for some of other events. But they're showing up, man. And let me tell you what, gymnastics, the crowds for that are unbelievable. The crowds for baseball this weekend were incredible. I think they set a record. I know it was a record for opening day. Softball was packed. I forgot that the game was at 11. I'm a dummy at baseball. And so I'm driving in, and I'm like, I'm going to get there really early, and I'll go up and have a sandwich and talk to a bunch of guys, and then watch some BP. I get up there, and I realize, all of a sudden I go, oh, the game's at 11. Well, here's what I realized. When I'm walking to the stadium, I finally got to park near the O-Dome to go to the baseball stadium. And as I'm walking up to the stadium, I hear, here come the Gators. And I'm like, whoa. The game's starting, and I went, oh, it's an 11 o'clock start. Meanwhile, softball started early, too. That place was a zoo. But everybody eventually got parked, and everybody went to the game. And the biggest reason I wanted to go Sunday was you get to see a bunch of people, and it's just so great to see Adam from Adam's Rib. Talked to him for a long time. My friend Rusty. Just a ton of people that I saw up there. And it's so great to see all of them, and that's why that's what that baseball has become. It's just become a gathering place. In fact, at one point, I went over to the far end, which is kind of a pavilion for companies, and I went over there and just kind of looked around and to see what was going on, and I watched a couple innings, or not a couple innings, a couple batters, and I noticed that there were 4 couples that were talking, and they weren't watching any baseball. I'm like, that's fine, though. That's what people do at the Players' Championship. You think people watch golf at the Players? Yeah, some people do. A lot of people do. But a lot of people just go because they want to go someplace and do something. It's great. I loved it. It's great. Anyway, it was a great weekend to be in Gainesville. This is one of those weekends that we brag about. Beautiful weather and Gators winning in almost everything. Women's basketball, not even close, but just about everything else. I think they lost in women's tennis, too, to Pepperdine. But other than that, winners everywhere around. All right, that's going to do it for our process service of Gainesville starting 5. Let us take a break. We'll come back with Steve Spurrier, the former head coach of the Florida Gators, if you don't know who he is. Special guest, surprise guest, Steve Spurrier. Now, we have him on every Monday. I know we missed last Monday because he had to go to Bill Carr's Celebration of Life. And Alyssa Lang was nice enough to step in for him. We got Coach today. Looking forward to it. We'll talk to him about a lot of different things here on another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 280 discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Okay, and welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And Meldon Law every Monday brings you Coach Spurrier. Last week he couldn't be here because of Bill Carr's celebration of life and funeral, and I couldn't make it there. But I mean, obviously that was a big occasion for you. And then you lose Alan Trammell too.
Two of my former teammates I played with here at Florida. Bill Carr was my roommate also.
He was
for several years, and my center for 4 years, freshman team and 3 varsity teams, and wonderful guy. Bill's a sincere Christian man, family of 5, and was the athletic director here for 5 or 6 years. And anyway, it was sad to see him go. I got a chance to meet with him about a month or so before he passed, and at that time he'd had a heart attack about 18 years ago.
I went over there and did a story on him. Yeah, I remember that.
And he had a fall. And, you know, if you're over 75 or so, don't fall. So anyway, Bill was he was prepared to go to heaven. He was a wonderful guy, family man, and we'll miss him. But we know he's in a better place now. He's in a better place.
Yeah, and you and Alan were really close.
Alan was a year ahead of me in school. But we ran around together a lot. Gosh, we played golf together a bunch. We played on Allen's Cubana basketball City League team. We actually won that City League championship one year back in about 69, I think it was, 68, 69. And he'd take me fishing. I didn't know anything about fishing, but he could do all kind of fishing and hunting. You know, he was just a natural and all that.
Yeah.
He's from Alabama, sort of out in the hillside there, outside of Eufaula. And so and then he had a car when he came down here. Most of us, we didn't have a car. We had to bum a ride anywhere we could. So I'd hitch a ride with him to go do things and so forth. But yeah, Alan, he got Parkinson's 3 or 4 years ago, I guess, and it just sort of wore him down.
Yeah,
and
sad.
They could see he wasn't going to be here much longer. So he died peacefully. And we'll have a celebration of life sometime in April to talk about AT-23.
Well, you know
he's the leading hitter in baseball.
Oh, I know.
All time for the Florida Gators. Alan Trammell hit something like 450 or 428
it was like
or something.
444 or something like that. Yeah.
And
well, what I remember though the most about him was that FSU game. When after you threw the ball to KC to put you up, and then Trammell picks it off and runs it back.
Yeah.
And that to me was, I was at that game. I know everybody will tell you they were at all these games, but I was at that game. I remember seeing him break on that ball and score.
Yeah, that was the nail in the coffin.
It was.
The Seminoles that day. Shoot, they had to lead with about 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a good player, football, basketball, baseball, and of course the most amazing thing he did, he had, I think it was either 8 or 9 RBIs in 1 inning.
Yeah.
Against Kentucky. That was in either 64 or 5. I want to say it was 65. And he came to bat 3 times in 1 inning and hit a grand slam. I think he hit a double with the bases loaded, and then another double with a couple of guys on second and third or something like that. But he had either 8 or 9. I want to say it was 9. But it was at least 8.
Yep, he was a great baseball player. Believe me, I saw him play.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of good things going on around the university this weekend. There was stuff going on everywhere. It felt like, and obviously, I want to start with swimming because swimming. When you win an SEC championship around here, it's important to you. It's important to me, and that's what the Gators did, winning the. I think it's the 13th straight for the men.
12 straight for the men.
12 straight for the men.
2 in a row for the women. It's called the Swimming and Diving Championship. I think they mix it all together and add up the points. We got the swimmer of the SEC of the year, Josh Liendo, and he's from Canada. But man, he's really good. And then our lady that won it is Bella Sims.
Yep.
Bella is from Nevada, and she was the National High School Swimmer of the Year.
Yeah.
So someone said,
just a freshman.
Yeah, how'd Florida get her? I said, because we got tradition in swimming. We're winners. We're big-time winners, and you get the best in the country.
That's exactly right.
When you got the reputation that we have here for swimming. So it was neat to watch. It was on TV last night, and really, really proud of our Coach Nesty. I mean, what a record he's got.
Yeah.
he and our track coach are, I don't know who's got the most championships, but they both got a whole bunch of
I think Mouse still has a few more, yeah. But
Mouse has a few more.
But you're right, to win back-to-backs. I mean, back-to-back, you win the men and women. Look, people take swimming seriously in this conference like they do everything.
Yeah.
So for Florida to do that I was very impressed with them. And I watched a little bit of it this morning. They had a guy who won the backstroke in both the 100 and 200. And man, he won by like it's only 200 meters. Guys were left in the distance. It was they've got some studs on that team, and they could be a force in the NCAAs. And you also, we had the gymnastics where Florida won the last tumble of the night with Leanne Wong. We had baseball sweeping, softball sweeping. There was a lot of good stuff going on. Of course, basketball winning too.
But getting back to gymnastics, LSU came in number 2 in the nation.
Yep, they did.
I think Oklahoma's number 1.
Yeah, they are.
They've been number 1 about the last 3 years. And Leanne Wong got a 10 on the final floor exercise, and she's got the gym slam.
She does,
now know what that is. That means you've got a 10 in all four
all
events.
4. Yep, you got all 4.
And she's had it at the Old Dome in all 4 events, so that was pretty neat. And beating LSU was neat. We lost earlier. We had one loss earlier, but we're getting better, and we got seemed like 2 or 3 freshmen that are really going to be good.
Yeah, and you think about this team. This team is missing probably its best freshman because she decided to get ready for the Olympics, and she'll be here next year. And DiCello, who would have been their best returner probably, but she wanted to get ready for the Olympics, and they're still doing all this. So, I mean, Jenny Rowland knows how to recruit.
She knows how to recruit. She knows how to coach.
She does.
She gets the best out of them. And so does Anthony Nesty. He's one of the best coaches. Both these people are 2 of the best coaches on campus, no question.
You've talked about that before, though, about how the more winning you have at a school, the more it just kind of bleeds into everybody else. And the more you see, like I know that some of the coaches have done this where they, I think Billy's doing this, where it's all the athletes can eat at the same training. It's not just football players, all the athletes. So you want to be surrounded by these people that are going to the Olympics, stuff like that.
It's also neat watching the swimmers and the gymnastics. They do the little gator chomp to each other and, hey, way to go, and all the swimmers were doing that yesterday also. So that was neat to see. They're proud of being a gator, and that's our little way to go.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, very neat.
What about, now let's talk a little bit about Florida basketball now. It just kind of got the job done against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's not, has only won 2 conference games. But they seem like they're in pretty good shape going into these last 4 to get into the tournament. And I think Todd Golden's done a heck of a job. Yeah,
Todd's done an excellent job. He's got some good assistant coaches that coach well. But his team, they hustle. They know what they're doing. And it's fun to watch them play. It really is. They got a chance to really make some noise once the tournament starts. Our Lady Gators struggled. They didn't have a good game at
well, did you see at halftime it was 45-24, and I was going to watch the game, and I watched it for a little while, and they were down. I flipped it over, and then I went back and went, oh no, I don't know why they seem like they have a lot of good players, but they just don't seem to gel.
They don't put it together.
Yeah.
So
especially late in games usually.
Yeah. So they're struggling a bit, but hopefully maybe they can make a run here when the SEC tournament starts.
And we're not far from spring football starting as well.
Yeah, a lot of schools around the country I've heard are into spring ball now.
Yeah.
So I guess you get a certain amount of days, 15 days I think it is, and you can do it about any time. So, the weather's good now. Gosh, it's about 80-something out there now, I think, Pat. So spring football should be here this week or next week. Is it this week?
I think it's next week, next week. And then spring game is the week of the Masters, Saturday of the Masters.
Well,
which I know you're looking forward to. I did want to ask you, too, though, about
tonight's event? Yeah, we hadn't got the
tonight's event, I wanted to ask you about that. Coach, it's the first-year Coach of the Year award. And do you want to announce who it's going to be? Yeah,
everybody I think knows right now. Jamie Chadwell, who coached at Liberty this past year, they were 13-0 and got a major bowl bid, Fiesta Bowl, had to play Oregon. Oregon beat them pretty good. I think Oregon spent about 15 to 20 million more in the NIL than Liberty. Liberty doesn't have any money to pay their players, but they went 13-1 this year. And just to show you what kind of job he did, Hugh Freeze, who got the Auburn job, went 8-5 the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So he was 16-10. Hugh Freeze was, and Jamie Chadwell's 13-1. So I'd say that's a pretty good coaching job he's done.
And he was great at Coastal too.
Coastal Carolina. Before that, Charleston Southern, and he actually went to school in my hometown of Johnson City.
Did he really?
East Tennessee State. Yeah, I don't know how his college career. I hadn't heard much talk about it, but that's where he went to college and got into coaching, and he'll have a major job, I think, within 3 or 4 years.
I'm surprised he hasn't already. To be honest with you, he's been so successful, and I think that'll definitely happen. I think you're honoring somebody else.
Yeah, Mark Rick. Mark Rick is coming down as our legend coach. He's retired now. Does I think some television with ACC Network. And,
yeah, I watch him on there.
Yeah,
I
Mark's
do.
a good guy. He's a wonderful guy, and I think he and his wife will be here. And he's our legend coach of the year. Georgia and Miami was his 2 schools. I'm going to ask him, you never got a chance to coach at Duke or South Carolina, did you? But anyway, yeah, Mark is a good guy, good coach, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Went into the College Hall of Fame in 2023.
Yeah.
Got an excellent record.
His record's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, he just could never get him over the hump.
Well, they went to 5 SEC championship games. I think he only won 2 of them, which really
That's
isn't
not
bad.
bad,
Not bad at all. And I think he played Alabama in about 4 out of 5, or LSU or somebody. But, they were winners. I think in 18 years of coaching, he had a winning record.
Yeah.
I think he went to 18 bowls.
Yeah,
so
I think he did.
That is consistency.
I do. So that's tonight?
That's tonight. We start about 5:30 or so, and we'll have a buffet, a little dinner here, and then outside we do the speaking.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it's all set up. Yeah.
Introducing the guys outside, and got a bunch of former players coming back, I think. You know, Chris Doring Mortgage presents our event.
Right.
And Tricia Garzon is pretty much the
Tricia
administrator
very well,
and puts it all together. So I think we got a bunch of former guys coming back also.
That'll be cool. Before I let you go, Coach, I want to ask you about what happened Saturday, or was it Sunday? Anyway, whatever day it was, with at Wake Forest with the storming of the court, and Filipowski, of course, they're All-American. I've got a solution to it.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you think about it.
Oh, I heard them talking about it on the radio today, and a lot of guys said, hey, one said 90 seconds. I thought 2 minutes would be plenty, but really 90 seconds. All right, game's over, 90 seconds. All your security guys are standing around, the clock's on. And when 90 seconds goes bloop, all right, all you students go run into each other if you want to. And let the guys get off the floor. And that's pretty simple. Let the guys get off the floor. Football, the same thing.
Yeah.
90 seconds. All right, they're lined up over there. Players, get off the court. Let them all come running out there. But you got to get the players off the field or off the court. And then if they want to, that's part of college football to me. That it's not all about the players and the coaches all the time. The student, they got to wait till everybody's off. That should be the rule.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, football and basketball.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these people that are rushing the floor are rushing it to be on TV and to have and TV is going to be gone by 2 minutes after the game. But I have another idea, and my idea, I talked about it earlier, is to take away a home game the next year from a team. Let me tell you what, they'll have security up if you do that. They will. Nobody will be rushing the floor anymore. That'll put an end to it.
Well, schools that enforce it like we do,
yeah,
we don't have to worry about it. And I was thinking back at South Carolina when we beat Alabama when they were number 1 in the country, man, nobody rushed the field because we just had a rule.
Yeah.
And I think it was a $75,000 fine to the school that their fans rushed the field.
It's up to 100 now. Yeah.
I think it's about 100 now. But I don't know. If they want to just run out there and bump into each other, it's like tearing down the goalposts. We've pretty much stopped that.
But it still happens, and they
yeah.
throw them in the river, whatever the river is nearby.
Tennessee beat Alabama first time in about 30 years up there, and they took it and put it in the Tennessee River. So that was a thrill for them. But yeah, just give the participants time to get off the field and off the court, and let the students have fun. Clemson does it every game. One of the guys on the radio said, "We just beat Furman, and they're rushing the field." It's a tradition here, man. You didn't know that?
Yeah.
And they give them a minute to get off.
Well,
Clemson,
and the ACC doesn't fine you. That's the only conference that doesn't fine anybody. So anyway.
But give them a minute or two, 90 seconds, whatever. And then if the students want to go jump around and hug each other, but I don't know. It's up,
Nobody
it's up
wants
those
to.
in
We don't
charge.
want to take the fun away,
Right.
but when it's putting people, when Filipowski got hurt, I'm watching the game and I went, "Oh, that's going to be it. They're going to have to do something now." So,
Yeah, the guy stepped on his ankle. It looked like somehow or another.
yeah. Well, I
How bad is he hurt? Does anybody?
don't know. Nobody said anything yet.
No, I haven't heard yet.
Yeah, he may not be that badly hurt, but the point is, I would have been scared. Well, those people were flying by him, and I've been on the field for those. They're
Yeah,
not
they were
fun.
flying by. Those Wake Forest people were running full speed. You're right. That was a little dangerous, but
Yep.
I don't know. Where do you stand? You stand right dead in the middle because they all won't run into
They'll
each
run.
other. And no, you all just get off to the side. And, at Tennessee, they rushed the field when they beat us in 98.
98, yeah.
LSU rushed it in
97.
97. Yeah, nobody got hurt, so there was no big deal back then.
Trying to think if Auburn rushed it.
They may have.
Yeah, they may have too. Yeah, I wasn't at that game actually. The 93 game.
93 was up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they rushed it. We weren't that dominant at that time.
All right, Coach. Anything else?
So we had beat them 3 years in a
You
row
had,
prior
yeah,
to that.
and
So they were at, I think that's about it. But looking forward to the banquet tonight and the Coach of the Year, and we got some Player of the Years coming also.
Cool. That'll be great, and we'll be back with more of another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. They also sponsor this guy. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Duly Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Okay, and welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. As always, on Mondays, we bring in Robbie Andrew for our Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line, so we can talk to him about yes, no way, or maybe. Robbie, how was your weekend?
Good, Pat. How about yours?
Pretty good. I went to baseball Sunday, and it was a pretty good weekend for the Gators, right? I mean,
oh yeah, we went and watched the basketball game, and then sat in the backyard and drank a few beers. It was beautiful.
It was a beautiful weekend. This is the weekends why you live in Gainesville, Florida. I mean, you couldn't have asked for nicer weather. In fact, Karen and I Sunday, after I went to the baseball game, we went over to Tioga, which we hardly ever go over that far. You know, we're creatures of comfort, you know, sticking around our neighborhood. But we went over there and went to a couple places, and it was just so nice out. You just wanted to sit outside, and it was great.
Gainesville needs more places where you can sit outside. To me, there aren't that many.
I know. The problem is 6 months a year is too hot.
Yeah.
And 1 week a year is too cold.
Yeah, 1 week.
All right, well, it's time to play Yes, No, Where, Maybe with Robbie Andrew. It's brought to you, as always, by Big Mill's Cheesesteak, street dining done the right way. And, of course, if you go in there and say you listen to it, listen to the podcast, that's all you got to say. You don't have to say who was on it. You can say Robbie was on it. You get free fries with your order. Number one for you, Robbie. Right now, Joe Leonardo has Florida as a 7 seed. On Selection Sunday, that's where they end up.
I'm going to say maybe, Pat. I mean, a lot of things can change here in the last couple of weeks, but they're looking strong now. I think they're definitely going to make the tournament and be a decent seed like that. So I think maybe, they could be as high as that or 6.
Yeah, I mean, a lot's going to depend. Like, you've got to take care of the 2 games you're supposed to win, and then the other 2, if you can win one of those, I think they could be as high as a 6. But, and then you have the tournaments. But
after watching that game the other day, I think they need to win their last 2 home games, because I don't think Vanderbilt's a gimme up there, because look at what Vanderbilt did when they pressured and pressed Florida in the game. The Gators couldn't handle it very well, so it's going to be a hard game to win on the road. So I think they need to beat Alabama at home.
I keep telling people that Florida's problem is they only have 1 point guard.
You're right.
And look, a couple of years, last year and the year before that, they had no point guards. So,
no.
But at least they have one now, and he's great. He should be all SEC. But, that when the ball gets to somebody else's hands, they have problems. There's no doubt about that.
That's been the story of the year, really.
All right, number 2, Robbie, this is the subject a lot of people are talking about. You have stormed a court. Yes, no way, or maybe.
Maybe, Pat. In my memory, I can't remember storming a court of any kind, but maybe as a kid I ran out on a football field, a high school game or something. So maybe. I mean, my memory's just not that good. But as far as recent memory, no.
Well, you were on the field in Palatka, weren't you, when St. Augustine High beat them? I think we went on the field.
I think we did storm the field, Pat. Ronnie Swimer ran the clock out with the holding the ball over his head.
Yep. I think I did storm the court when Gene Shai tipped that ball in against Alabama, but it was like involuntary. It was just everybody just massively moved down, and I was like, "Hey, I'm on the floor." It was wild.
Yeah, I remember that game too, with the Gene Shai one.
Yep.
To beat Alabama. I remember that one.
Do you remember
that Alabama team was loaded?
Yeah. Do you remember whose shot Leon Douglas blocked and then Shai tipped it in?
I can't remember, Pat.
Al Bonner.
Oh, I loved Al Bonner.
Yep, absolutely. All right, number 3 on Yes, No, Where, Robbie. You have interest in a dog that just came into our lives, unfortunately. Stray dog showed up today, and we're trying to figure out what to do with them. And I know you're a dog lover, so I'm just going to ask you: do you have any interest in it?
No way, Pat. I mean, we just lost our second dog in 9 months, and now we're down to 1 dog, and we decided we're going to kind of spoil her for a while, and we may be in the market for another dog somewhere down the line, but I think we need to give it a little bit of time.
Well, I had that.
Who is a stray dog?
It's I don't know. It's just it's got a lot of pit bull in him. Archie's been having fun with him, but
that's good. Why don't you keep him?
He's got a little too much energy for me.
Well, Archie does too.
Yeah, I know, but between the 2 of them, they quadruple what my energy is.
But Pat, maybe it was meant to be. I remember when we were kids, one morning on our back porch was a dog, and we named him Tramp, and he became
Tramp.
our dog, and we loved him. He was a great dog. So
Tramp is
maybe
a
you need
great
to
dog.
call him Tramp and adopt him.
Well, if we do adopt him, we'll call him Tramp. How about that? Just in
Okay,
your honor.
sounds good.
Or we could call him Sammy Green, like you named that other
Yeah,
dog.
Sammy Green was a great dog.
He was. All right, Robbie, thanks for joining us again on Yes, No Way, or Maybe, brought to you by Big Mill's Cheesesteak.
My pleasure, Pat. I'll see you on Tuesday.
All right, always great to have Robbie on for Yes, No Way, or Maybe. Again, brought to you by Big Mill's Cheesesteak. And you know that the Campus USA Play of the Weekend is coming up. And it's so good that we decided to have 2 plays of the weekend. In fact, I could have done 5 or 10. Here's one of them, and I love this play right here. Boom. Oh, man, I love alley-oop dumps. Thomas Hawk I tell you what, this kid is going to be something. Nobody was recruiting him his junior year. I heard that story yesterday. And all of a sudden he's become this great player in his senior year in high school. And now Florida got him, and congratulations to them. But this was the one that I loved watching because I was watching it live. 3-pointer at the buzzer for Ohio State to beat Michigan State. And I always loved, like during March Madness, my wife will be watching Housewives out in the living room, and I'll be in my office watching March Madness, and she'll just hear this, oh! She got one of those yesterday. And she's like, what happened? What happened? I go, Ohio State beat Michigan State. She goes, I hate Ohio State. And I'm like, no, they're an underdog in this case. They got an interim coach. I'm okay with it. So that was cool. We had 2 plays of the weekend, which we could probably have had 100 plays of the weekend. I could have given you, if the game had been on TV, I probably could have given it to you. The catch that Shellnut made that was huge in that game, that's 3rd game. Anyway, let's move to our Adams Ribco to go Gators of the weekend. And in this case, it is multiple Gators, and I could go. I could have 15 of these, but I'm going to go with Leanne Wong and Bella Sims because I think those 2 people did something really special. To get a 10 like Leanne Wong did in the last event it's a walk-off 10 is what it is. You don't get too many walk-off 10s, but that's what it was. And for Bella to get the commissioner's trophy for the most points in the meet as a freshman, man, she's going to be something for Florida. So they are our Adams Ribco to go Gators of the weekend. And like I mentioned earlier, I talked with Adam for a little while on Sunday at the game. Things are going great. We love that to-go place, man. It is right by our house, so when you get home, the food is still plenty hot, and I love Adams Ribco to go. Let's move to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. And I had a game that I was going to give you, but I want to give you a game you're interested in. So Missouri at Florida, but I'm giving Missouri 6 points, okay? That's what you got to deal with. Missouri's getting 6 points against Florida on Wednesday, and that'll be for the Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. And like I mentioned earlier, we'll throw a Patrick Young book into that mix. As well as $25 at Leonardo's, which is the big prize there. Let us get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And, of course, Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of family law and workers' compensation. If you're a loyal listener of this show, you know who we are by now. And if not, Google the firm, check out the reviews, and hear what our clients have to say. Ken and Jennifer can be reached 24/7 via call or text at 352-339-9920, Hesser and Kipke. We appreciate Hesser and Kipke very much. And actually, Ken gave me the idea for my first 3 things. And that is, because we've been talking, and we've talked about this a lot on radio and different places, about why Gator Growl died. And, of course, it's still ongoing. They still have it. It's become more for the students, I think, than it is for alumni. They moved it over to Flavette. It's, it's not what we look, we grew up in a perfect world where we would get Rodney Dangerfield to be the host, and it'd be 60,000 people, and or there'd be her sister Hazel making a appearance. Robin Williams would be there, and Bob Hope came to it. I mean, and I know that my friend Greg Hardy wrote a book about the comedians that went there. I haven't seen the book yet. I want to read it because he interviewed me for it. So we were talking about Gator Growl, and he sent me this idea, which is, why don't you move it to the baseball stadium? Baseball stadium, you can set all your stuff up out there like you did with the football field. People love going to the baseball stadium. That's pretty much established. Have it there, it'd be a lot nicer. I don't know that they care about Gator Growl enough to do that, but it's a good idea. I mean, Flavette, it's just a field. That's why it's called the field, Flavette Field. And then there's a little place that you can set up your bandstand, but anyway, I think it's a good idea. All right, number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. You know, we talked about all the different things that happened in baseball, sweep in Columbia, with softball. Well, they won, you know, the teams they played weren't very good. They had another perfect game. But, you know, it's hard to get excited about it right now. We're going to start getting excited because it's all going to change pretty soon. Of course, Florida playing Miami this weekend in baseball. But I had to talk about lacrosse, which had started out 0-2 playing 2 top 10 teams, and they played another one yesterday, and they won in overtime. So I want to give a shout out to Mandy O'Leary and their team. They beat number 5 Maryland in overtime. So good for them. I mean, I love being at a place where they're good at everything, almost everything. Still not good at women's basketball. Just can't get there yet. Oh, and football. That's the 2 things we're not good at. Well, how could Florida not be good at football? Anyway, I don't want to get too much into that. Let's go to number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, and that would be the NFL considering this option of, at least they're going to talk about it, have serious discussions about going to the XFL rule on kickoffs. Now, the XFL rule, it's just a short kick, and it's weird. Every time you watch it, if you try to explain the XFL rule to like your girlfriend who doesn't watch a lot of football, you're not gonna succeed. It's weird, but they're looking at it, and that's what the NFL does. They cherry pick good ideas from these leagues. I mean, the challenge flag was invented by the USFL, the old USFL. I think 2-point conversions was a USFL thing too. I mean, college had it, but they went to it, and the NFL followed. Anyway, whatever they come up with, I don't think there is a right answer. It's like NIL. I don't know that there's a right answer to NIL. People can say what they want to say about it, cap it, do this. Well, if you cap it, you're going to get lawsuits. I mean, look, there's an argument against everything. But what I'm saying is, I'm not sure there's a safe answer to kickoffs except eliminating them. And if you eliminate them, you've eliminated onside kicks. So you can't, that takes a huge part out of the game. Surprise onside kicks when you need them to win, whatever. So I don't know that there is a good answer to the NFL and their kickoffs. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. We appreciate them so much. Let's get to our Swamp Games of the Week. Swamp Restaurant, of course, where you can go and have all kinds of specialties. They've had all kinds of stuff going on this weekend, and I know they're going to continue all week at the Swamp Restaurant, one of my favorite places to go, as is my daughter's favorite place to go, I think. So I could give you a million games. I'm just going to kind of limit it to what I think you're going to want to watch, which is baseball's playing Bethune-Cookman on Tuesday. That game is at 6:30. It is on ESPN Plus. Now, I've discovered that ESPN Plus and SEC Plus are not the same, even though they're the same. But then on Wednesday they play Bethune-Cookman. It's at 6:30, and that's on SEC Plus. The problem is when you say Florida baseball into your remote, it brings up all the pro teams. So you got to say Florida Gators baseball, and if it's on SEC Plus, it's going to show it's not available. But if it's on ESPN Plus, it'll show it's available. It's weird, I know. I can barely operate my phone, and I'm trying to figure all this out. But anyway, that's where the games are. And of course, basketball playing 6:30 on Wednesday against Missouri. It's a weird time, 6:30, but that's what the SEC network has done. It's on the SEC network, and they have moved these games up a half hour so they can then blend in the 8:30 games, and you can have that crossover effect. It's almost like they're almost looking for like an NCAA type effect. So we'll see how that all goes, and we'll give you all this great stuff that's happening this weekend later in the week. Obviously, Florida-Miami baseball, with what's going on with basketball as well. That is our Swamp Games of the week. Let us finish up with our... I'm kind of tired because I've been trying to do this off of a thing I jotted down when I for those of you who don't know, and nobody would know, I forgot my book at home with all my notes and everything. And luckily, Zach had a notebook here, and I've just been trying to jot it down. I don't think I've missed anything, but it's time for our Eastlake Pediatrics Storytime. Pat Dooley Storytime. These are the last two. I think I'm right on that. The last two for Mike Jordan, and we appreciate so much what they've done for us. We wouldn't be the same without them. And so the last two I may make a little personal, because these are two stories I don't think I've ever told, but why not? And I want to tell you about my trip to cover the Super Bowl when it was in Miami, in whatever that place was called then. I don't know. It wasn't a Hard Rock Cafe then. It was whatever, Hard Rock Stadium then, whatever it was called. But the one that's not quite in Miami. So it was San Diego and the San Francisco 49ers, the one where Steve Young got his team off his back. So I drive down there, cover the game. Meanwhile, my wife and I, at the time, had been discussing divorce. And we had to, it was going to happen. It needed to happen. Lovely, wonderful human being. We're still friends. We produced one amazing child. I have nothing but nice things to say about her. It wasn't her, it was me. And you can imagine what I was like in my 30s, okay? Because you know what I'm like in my 60s. But so we decided to get divorced, or we at least talked about it. And so after the game is over, and Super Bowl's end at like 10, 11, I'm probably done at midnight. I drive all the way home to Gainesville. So I get home at like 5:30, 6 in the morning, and I walk in the door, and there's all my stuff packed up. And I'm like, well, I guess we are getting the divorce. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I said, you know what, though? Those are the cups I want. That's fine. I'm ready to do it. So the ending to that story is that I met the most wonderful person in the world. I didn't think, it's amazing the two wives I've had. Amazing. But Karen makes my life, she completes me. She completes me. But anyway, I thought I'd tell a story. Because that was you talk about a stunner. You open the door at 5 in the morning and there's all your stuff packed. All right. That confirms it. All right. I got another going for you on Thursday. We'll be back with that one when we return on Thursday. Appreciate Zach for all the work he's done. Appreciate all our great sponsors. Appreciate Spurrier, Coach Spurrier, I should say. Can I call him Spurrier?
Probably.
Yeah.
They won't know who you mean.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Mr. Spurrier, the HBC, and appreciate Robbie Andrew, for coming on as well. We'll be back with Patrick Young on Thursday. Thanks to Zach again. Until next time, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.